Well, it's actually New Year's Eve here. Just went over to the barn. Carter Michael Deal can't ship until tomorrow because of the holidays and the trucking schedules and the border vet and whatnot. A whole bunch of other stuff. I trained him this morning. He trained good, so he's ready to rock for Wednesday at the Meadows. So that should be fun. He will be part one of a number of changes we're going to be making as far as moving horses around. So I want to talk about the 3-year-olds, where they're going, what they're doing. They're all about to become aged horses tonight. So we'll start with Absolute Euphoria. Absolute Euphoria is turned out for, I think she's not scheduled to come in on this load, but the next load will get her back going. I think we'll probably, if there's room here in Ontario, when everything comes in, when everything is clawed back and put in place, if there are stalls available here, the last two pieces of the puzzle in Ontario may very well be Absolute Euphoria and Brace for Landing, but we'll see because things are filling up on both sides of the border pretty quick. Brace for Landing, I just talked about him, same thing. He'll be coming back in the load. We actually left him out a little longer than I said we would, but in my mind, I just let it be and hope that he comes back fat. I didn't get to talk to Jacob over the last few weeks about Brace. We were talking about a number of other things, and actually I want to bring it up and say, hey, has he put on weight? Is he filled out? He's not skinny. He's just a very lean, kind of long colt, and I want to see him fill out. You know, Amy had alluded to how long it may take for him to, and she's right, it might. But for him to stay here until he's completely filled out and completely matured, he's going to have to put forward a pretty good effort in his 4-year-old campaign. So he'll be coming back in very soon also. Will he end up in Ontario? That will simply boil down to if we have vacancy at the hotel here in Ontario. So we'll see. One way or another, he'll be in soon enough. Carter Michael Dio, I just talked about him. He trained very good here at Stutzman's Training Center. He'll be on the truck tomorrow, I believe, and headed to Pennsylvania. Just with the holiday season, there was very little that we could do. We're certainly not worried about any issues in that regard. I wanted to make sure that he trained also today, because it's been 8 days since he raced at Mohawk. He did need a training trip and trained very good this morning. Collector, Harry said he schooled him. I didn't know that now. I missed in translation. I thought that he was schooling, then I said, I didn't hear that he went down to the track. So maybe Harry didn't school him. They schooled him with hobbles on, and Harry said he was very, very good. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do this week. Commando Tom, you got one more strike, Commando. I'll cut you some slack as I talk as if he was watching this video. 2 8-holes. He's got the 3-hole Wednesday. Now he's coming back in 5 days, so there's going to be a little leeway given there. But he is going to be raced pretty hard on Wednesday. We'll see if he responds or not to that particular racing. Crantini, very happy. I reached out to a number of clients just one-on-one and said, hey, I am looking for partners on Crantini. You know, this is a horse I just assumed, I took for granted when we brought him back that he would sell out right away. And I guess given his, at the point we brought him back, given his current situation, how he was racing at that time for another stable, I guess I could see the trepidation from people. But now that he's back, and honestly, it's like he just stepped into a time machine and went back to the summer. He seems the same. And as far as trotting in 57 and where's that, is he got more speed? Is there more to offer? When I look at his liver count, the fact that he raced as well as he did the other day and fought back to be second, you can say, oh, the other guy kind of got tired. All right, well, that's racing. Crantini was tired too, I can assure you of that, but fought back on to be an obvious second and raced really well. I was impressed with him and have been impressed with him since we brought him back. Really happy with what's gone on with him. Speaking of high livers, Enzo Guayo, again, his was a little lower than Crantini's, but still above the norm and is coming down. You saw him race good the other day. I think you'll see an even better race from him this week at the Meadows. 5-Fish Species, she's done now. She's I didn't realize she was back at Jeff Rux already, so great job by Megan getting all that taken care of. I kind of dropped the ball. I didn't know where Fish was. I'd run into Steve and said, hey, is everything with Fish taken care of? And he said, yeah. He said Jeff Rux barn. So that's good. Very happy to hear that Fish is tucked in and ready to go as a broodmare, so to speak. Halakai the third, I think that might be it with her. She might be a little tired I don't know, but not a very good race from her. I know if we draw our blood, maybe her liver's a little bit high. Maybe something's going on with her. But ultimately, same old thing. And this is the easiest way, the easiest barometer. Very rough scale, but the easiest barometer to put on things. When you go on the track from the 2-hole and you're 10 or 15 to 1, you're just not bet down, then maybe you're in the wrong spot. And that's the only spot we got for her right now. So I think Halakai maybe will have to be offered up for sale. I think in the next preferred sale, you're going to see and nobody should be surprised with the names that are on that list. There might be a couple. I had made reference to having a tough place to find a race for Think of Galaxies, but she's an open mare. You can't replace her. You can't replace a horse of that caliber. Just say, well, I'm going to sell her and go get another one. There just isn't one for sale. For what that we would get for her? No. And Stay Close again. At some point, he's going to need a rest, I would imagine. Although he's been racing good, it's very hard to sell horses at a seller's price when they're racing bad. So again, these are all things that are rattling around in my head, whether it be the stall situation or classifications or classes to race consistently for our horses. These are all things that make up that final decision. I jumped over some horses. No, I didn't. Irish Ray trained the other day. This is Dad's horse. Dad and his partners own Irish Ray. We're just trying to get him squared away. Might actually even qualify Irish Ray this week at Northfield Park and see how he is. They say he's been doing better and looked good training the other day. We'll see. I trained him in 2 minutes and thought he was okay, but he had an open bridle on and he was wandering around looking at everything, with a closed bridle on and proper equipment. I think he'd probably qualify sharply. So that's an option too. We might just qualify him and see how he feels this week in Northfield Park. Kenobi is going to be heading to Saratoga and then Yonkers area at some point. As expected, everybody, oh my God, what happened with Kenobi? Then I scoped him. We had scoped him and Tim had told me there wasn't a lot of mucus, no blood, very few pimples found. When such a normal scope is attached to such a horrible race, obviously there's something else going on, and there was. Liver count was very high, showed a lot of ulcers. His bilirubin was high, but with no signs of bleeding coming from the airway. One would think that it would be an ulcer type situation, and again exacerbated with the only made worse by his liver count being high. So working hard, a lot internal stuff we got to work on with Kenobi. And again, great classes for him in that area. There are classes here, but when I got a horse like Carter Michael Dio going in that Nommers 3x5, and he'll only likely fit there a week, it's a tough bunch, a little bit tougher bunch. We'd have to price him in Northfield, which I was okay with doing, I suppose. But when it comes to a horse like him, there's lots of opportunities for him on the East Coast, and I think that's probably the place that he should be. Park Slope had the 9-hole the other night. I'm probably just going to bring Park Slope back. But where do we race her? Where does Park Slope race? I don't know yet. She's pretty well in that, we've already turned 5 fish species out to be bred, and that is exactly why we bought Park Slope. I think it would be unfair not to put some blame on myself and say, yeah, I guess we should have just left her at Northfield Park. I thought that Dayton was a slam dunk for her, and it wasn't. And, best intentions, right? I thought it was the right place to be for her. Seemed on paper like it was, and then it turned out it wasn't. So whether we just pull the harness off her and breed her now, that will be up to Steve and myself. But I believe I know that Tim said there wasn't a whole lot at the Meadows. So if I get the same response from Jason, then I guess there's a different conversation to be had at that point. Spitfire Overseas looked a little rough and a little flat yesterday. I know we had a client say, he needs to be turned out. I would, before people just jump to conclusions, have knee-jerk reactions to a race. When we just say a horse needs this or a horse needs that, and you don't have the information to support it, just wait a minute, right? It'd be like me coming on and say, horse exhausted, needs to go out in the field, that's ridiculous, without having any information to support or back that up. Sure, I can make those claims, but if they're not accurate and they're not backed up by science, then they're incorrect, right? So I would caution everybody just about having knee-jerk reactions after horse races. Horses can bleed, tie up, be sick, right? Something could be bothering them. Maybe they lost a shoe. Maybe, who knows? But without having the full picture, without having a view of the entire picture, you're just casting aspersions, and it's no different than if I do it, right? And I try my hardest not to. When it come to Spitfire Overseas, he's a much better horse than Dominoff or whatever the horse was that won. I raced against that horse. Nice horse. Spitfire Overseas is a legit colt, and the fact that he gapped down the backstretch and looked rough down the lane leads me to believe that maybe there's a little work to be done on Spitfire, and I know that Stacy will get to the bottom of it. Stacy's a very good trainer, sharp person, and she will get to the bottom of it. That is a good class for Spitfire, and if it turns out it's not, it's an easy fix. There's always classes for a horse like Spitfire Overseas and Carter Michael Dio and Crantini and those horses. They're good horses, and there'll be classes for them. Stay special. So interested to watch this filly qualify next week. This is a filly that had a lot of potential and was not sound, right? We gave her all the time, brought her back. She is sound and looks very, very good, I'm told. I can't wait to see how she's going to race. Somebody said, well, London, Flamborough, she didn't come here to race in London and Flamborough, and if she can't race at Mohawk, she'll be going to the States. But I have every reason to believe she'll fit just fine at Mohawk. Steel Cowboy, not a whole lot to report. Hope this guy trains down good. We gave him enough time. We gave him sufficient enough time. If there was some stuff bothering him, that he should be over it. I haven't sat behind him yet. We've just begun training him back, so he's trained twice. A little choppy, but going at that speed, I'm not going to judge him at that speed. I want to see him when he goes a quarter and 28 seconds, how he looks. So we'll see how Steel Cowboy does training down. Tactical Mounds is out in the field, where she'll remain for a little bit. There's obviously still some questions about what we're going to do with Tactical Mounds, and I'll reach out to everybody involved over the next week or so, see if we can hammer out a plan for 2024, whatever that may be for Tactical Mounds. Texong Soprano, happy with him, but he'll be likely heading to Yonkers, where he was supposed to go all along. Very happy with the way he raced, and somebody said, well, he seemed a little flat. He seemed flat. He was a 3-year-old trotting colt that had been thrust into the open trot at Northfield Park, a graveyard. There's a tough spot. A lot of classy old horses end up at Northfield racing there, and it is not an easy spot for a 3-year-old to go. I thought he raced great. I thought Hunter drove him great last week, and I think he'll fit perfectly at Yonkers. And I'm sure Megan and Scotty will be happy with him when he does head that way. Wallop comes back in Tuesday. We end up giving him a little extra time too. We'll get him going. A little trickier spot with this guy. If he matures and comes back good, has put weight on, and is a little more manageable, I could see this horse racing at Mohawk if we wanted to. The Meadows, Dayton. We just need to find a spot where he can do full time. Walter's Keepsake. This is one of the more interesting 3-year-olds about to turn 4. This guy, I think, untapped, right? That quarter crack, you can almost pitch every start we've had with this horse out. That quarter crack right hind was killing him. And we have it now under control. He looks good. He trained good. He qualified good. I'm very interested to see. I would rather be on the gate with him, but I'm very interested to see how he's going to race on Wednesday evening. Warwi Yuri, I can only protect him so long. I really thought when we gave him a break and brought him back, I talked for 2 years about how this horse might be a 4-year-old before we really see the best form of Warwi Yuri. Just haven't seen it yet. Well, he's going to get an opportunity to show it on Wednesday, and that will be it for him and a number of the other 3-year-olds. If they can't do the Commando Toms, those horses are not going to be taking up space in our barn if they can't come forward. So I really hope that Warwi Yuri shows us something on Wednesday. What a Mission pulled up sore the other night after the race. I think his feet were killing him, and one knee is bothering him. Track had been unusually hard, I think, the last 3 weeks, and I saw it the other day. I was a little miffed. I'd gone out on a limb and said, no, Luke is going to drive the horse, and then made that break at the gate, and really that's on me, right? That reflects poorly, and I hate it. It drives me crazy, but as a driver, those things happen. It's not like Luke went out there and said, I don't care, I'll just race him and see what happens. No, Luke was doing his best, and the horse made a break on him, and then pulling up, they said he was a little bit sore. So he jogged yesterday. Jason said he was pretty good. So we'll see. We'll see what this week brings. It sounds to me like he's got a little gravel or something coming out of that foot, because if it was like a bone or a joint, he would be really sore the day after the race, and he was not. So it sounds to me like a gravel, like a pus pocket is coming in one foot, but I'll get a better look at him when I'm back also, and talk to Jason's more today, and then I'm back on Monday evening. So those are the 3-year-olds. You get 3-year-olds are racehorses. I'm going to come back and talk about the 2-year-olds a little bit. I'll be back in just a minute. And then that will be it for the week. There's no point in talking about the babies this week. No new real news to bring forward. There wasn't a ton of training done over the holidays. We'll start back fresh. Their 2-year-old season starts on Monday. On Tuesday, I'll be there. I'll be very interested to see how everybody looks. And then you'll probably see me. We'll probably train a little bit on Wednesday, although I have to go to the Meadows for race 1 for Carter and come right back for all the qualifiers. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Right now, we'll be on to the 2-year-olds that are in 24 hours, about to be sophomores.